Right, we talked about the structured paper and we are done with the MCQ as well. So today we are going to go with the second paper, right? So the questions. Yeah, questions goes like this. In the first part, it says, what are the three main components of central processing unit of a typical computer? List the main functions of these three components. So we know that it is ALU, CU, and the registers, right? So for naming the three things correctly, you will be given 1.5 marks over here, right? And the definition, so like the explanation of it. ALU should have this idea, performs mathematical calculation and performs comparison of data. That idea should be there, right? So in that case, if you write it, ALU is there to perform mathematical and comparison operations. So you can have the marks, right? So it must indicate it is doing mathematical calculations as well as comparisons, right? Control unit performs all the functions of a computer system, decodes instruction in the memory, sends signal to the relevant components, right? So like when it comes to these things, like any one of these things, they say like for any answer from each category, 0.5 marks, right? So in that case, you are lucky. Any one of these two, any one of these three, and any one of these two will give you 0.5 marks, right? So when it comes to the control unit, you have to say either it is perform all functions of the computer system, or you have to say decodes instruction in the memory, or you have to say send signals to the relevant components, right? For registers, register is a component which holds the data temporarily until it is given to the ALU, as well as it will hold the result which is given by the ALU until it is given to the main memory. So any 1 point out of those two will give you the marks of 0.5, right? So for that, you got 3 marks, right? 1.5 for the component naming and 1.5 for the function description. So altogether 3 marks. And the part B, it is kind of a hold on, this could be something out of syllabus, what it says. Briefly explain the storage compaction. Yeah, now the term called, which is called storage compaction, is not in your syllabus, but compaction is nothing. It is about the fragmentation that they are talking about, right? So they say storage compaction is need to be bring all used storage to one end of the storage in order to claim unused or usable storage space for efficient use. So it's compaction. It is kind of deep. They are kind of describing the defragmentation. So fragmenting means what? In the hard disk, the data will be scattered around, right? So once you defragmented, those data will be stacked adjacently, and the rest of the parts will be there for you to store more data, right? So the same term goes with the word compaction, right? If you do not write any explanation for it, you can have these 2 marks because we are not talking about compaction in our syllabus, right? So 2 marks for the B part, with or without an answer. And the part C, the calculation part. So they were talking about a file size of 10,400 bits. This is the size of the file. And they are asking you to calculate the wastage in a file space due to incomplete filling of the last cluster. Assume that the cluster has the size of 512 bytes. Right, so that means there will be blocks which size is 512 bytes. Right, so if this is the file, if it has a size of 10,400 of bits, so then you can calculate how big it is in bytes. So 10,400 divided by 8, it means 1. For 24 it is 3. Yeah, so it is going to be 1,300 bytes. Right, so to fill 1,300 bytes, you need 1 512 and 2 512. That gives you 1,024, and you need another third block. So these two things are totally filled of 512s, and this is partially filled, right? Because 512 plus 512 will give you 1,024. So the file size is 1,300. So 1,300 minus 1,024 will give you this particular portion of the size. That means this is 6, 7, and 2. 276 is the filled portion. Right, so this is going to be the used space. Right, so they are asking what is the wastage. So to find the wastage, you have to reduce 276 from 512, which gives you 236 bytes as the wastage. So which gives you this space. People, is that clear? Okay. So we'll go with the marking scheme. In case if anyone needs to write this down, please write it down. Okay, anyone who is still copying? All right, so moving forward, let's see how the marks have been given. Yeah, so like they have given you 2 marks altogether. So the final answer that you have to take is this, the wastage, 236. So you have to show your workings, how the things are going to happen. Okay, so you can have 2 marks for that. Then we are moving to the part D, which is the traditional gates question, right? So in that question, they say like there is a device which takes, so there's a digital circuit which takes 4 binary digits as an input and produce 1 as its output if a decimal value represented by the 4 binary digit is a prime number. That means we have to figure out decimal value represented by the 4 binary digits. So these are the 4 binary digits. So in that case, this can be taken as an instant of clearing what's the number, which is represented by 4 digits. So if this is a binary value, place values are going to be 1, 2, 4, and 8. Right, so this represents 0, represent 1, this represent 2, this represent 3. Likewise, it's going to continue. Right, so if the circuit found a prime number, now what is a prime number? Like prime number is the numbers which is divided by 1 and itself, only divide by 1 and itself. Right, so if you can take 1 if you want as a prime number. You can omit if you don't want, it doesn't matter. So 2 is a prime number anyway, 3 is a prime number, but not 4. 4 can be divided by 1 as well as 2 as well as 4 itself. So it is not a prime number. So likewise, if you find a prime number from the representation of these values, so the circuit is going to output 1 if it is a prime number. So for 1, 2, and 3, there will be 1 indicating. If you do not consider 1 as a prime number, so it's okay. You can mark 1 in the second row as well as in the third row as well as the fourth row. That means these 2 positions, right? So likewise, you have to fill the truth table, right? So how it is going to be filled? So these values 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So the prime numbers are going to be 1, 2, 3, not 4. 5 is going to be a prime number, not 6. 7 is going to be not 8, not 9, not 10. 11 is going to be, 13 is going to be, that's all. So rest of the places, it will be having zeros. Right, so the truth table should be filled like this. So the marks for these things, excuse me. Right, so just see, like there are 2 solutions they have given. The left hand solution does not include 1 as a prime number. Right hand solution include 1 as a prime number. So this is going to be the output. So if you get this correctly, how much they have given? Yeah, they have given 4 marks if the truth tables are correct. It's just one if the truth table is correct. So 4 marks. Okay, so later what they are asking is, they ask you to write a Boolean expression to represent the logic function of the above circuit in the sum of product form. Sum of product means SOP. So your answer must be a sum of product. So it is either the top one, if your truth table is the left-hand side one, then it is going to be the top one. Otherwise, it's the other one is going to be the SOP. So the additional one, since you are considering one as a prime number, is this term. So this term plus these 6 terms should be there. Right, so if you got it correctly, 2 marks are given. Okay, so people, is it clear up to this point? Right, great. So then the circuit. Now it should be something like this. Right now, when you are drawing a circuit for a bigger expression, this should be a very good technique, because there are lots of A bars, B bars, C bars, and D bars. Right, so because of that, they have created those lines separately, right, which will minimize the number of gates that you have to use. Otherwise, you have to use a small NOT gate on the specific places like this, right? And nowadays they are not asking something like this. They are asking the things from the NO gates and the NAND gates, right? So now, if you were here with me, I would ask you to draw the circuit from the NO and the NAND gate and ask you to do the simplification. But since you are not here today, let's go with like this, right? So yeah, this is going to be the circuit model that you can use, right? And in 2011, they have given marks for this kind of thing as well. So here you can see they have used many amount of NOT gates, which will complex the solution, and again it is expensive, makes the circuit expensive, right? So it's better you go with the previous solution, right? But if you have drawn it like this, doesn't matter, you can have the marks. So yeah, or like if someone is simplified the bigger expression, the SOP, and take the simplified version and draw it like this, then it is okay. But I don't think it should be done because it is time consuming, right? So if you are asked to draw it blindly, if they ask you to draw the circuit, you can easily use AND, OR, and NOT gates and complete the circuit, right? So somehow, for completing the circuit correctly, how much they are going to give you? Yeah, it's just 2 marks, right? So it's 2 marks. That's why I told you, like, if you are trying to simplify this and trying to draw it, it will consume your time. So it's not worth to be like lose your effort, or like to work on a bigger expression to make it simpler, since it is given only 2 marks. But in case if the question asks, of course, you have to do this simplification, right? So with that, you can calculate how much you got out of 15 for the first question, right? So see how much you got out of 15. Okay, that's a very good mark, Mihin. Keep it up. So I'm moving to the second question. Anyone who has done the second question? All right. So in the second question, they are asking like, okay, Mihin. Describe the terms elements and attributes with respect to HTML documents. So these are kind of definitions, people. So it's better you have the idea properly, right? Elements, it can say HTML documents are defined by HTML elements. Content starts with a valid tag and terminated with a valid corresponding tag, right? So any particular answer can consider as a correct one. So you better search whether you got the points correctly, right? And attributes provide additional information about elements, or you can say like attributes further describe an element, likewise. So 1 mark for that as well. So for part A, it's 2 marks. And then they have provided some particular terms. So they're asking us to determine whether it is an element or an attribute, right? So for saying that it is an element or an attribute, you will be given 1 mark if all 4 are correct. So 0.25 into 4, 1 mark. And for the functionality, for these things, again, they have given you 0.25. That's the explanation about the tags and all these things. So BR is an element, href is an attribute, src an attribute, html is an element. Href is used inside the anchor tag commonly. src is used inside the img tag mostly, right? And the explanation, it says forces a line break wherever you place it. So any idea similar to this can have the marks. And href defines the link address, right? So, or you can say defines the destination of the address, right? Then src specifies the location of the image file. Yeah, because it is the src attribute which defines either the name of the image or name with the place of the image, right? So it specifies the location of an image file, so that will be enough explanation. And html, it is an element. It's again, we can go for the this particular thing. So like define the whole html document, the html, right? So 0.25 into 4 for this, and this is also goes like that. Right, so somehow it takes 2 marks out of 15. Right, in part C, they are asking you to write a CSS. So what's the CSS that they are hoping to have is like, yeah, answer the following question using above figure. It is required to format all the paragraph of the HTML document in Arial font, 14 font size, and the blue color. Yes, so it is a CSS. And it specifically said, right? So these things should be taken into consideration when you are writing the CSS. And the CSS happens like this. So see, this should be there. Right, so color colon blue semicolon font dash family colon Arial semicolon font dash size colon 14 pt. Right, so those should be there. They do not have an order. You can have font family earlier, color later, then font size, but it should be in this format. Okay, so you can have 2 marks for that. Yeah, Lalindi, you can have 14px as well because they haven't said anything. Yes, Dua, you can have 14px as well because they haven't said whether it is in the point size or the pixel size. So in that case, you can have it as 14 px as well. Doesn't matter. Right. This should be explained properly, right? So I think in the HTML, once we are done with the HTML lesson, we have done this as well, but it's better you take into your consideration whether you have done it clearly or not. So what they're asking is like explain the effect of having following tag in the above HTML document. Right, so then they have given ahref something over here. So first thing that you have to understand is ahref will create a link on the web page, and this is the starting tag of the anchor, this is the ending tag of that anchor. Right, so during that period, in between those two things, they are talking about an img which is going to show you a elephants_tnl.jpg. Right, so this means here it's not going to be the wordings that we are going to have. It is a small piece of image which is acting as a link. So that means once you move your cursor, the mouse pointer onto the picture, it says you can click on this. Right, so this picture, the one you can see in the home page or the loading page, has a width of 288 centimeter, height of 156 centimeter. They do not use borders. They just going through like with these things, right? So be very careful when you are answering, right? So this particular picture will be clicked, then this particular picture will be open, right? So that is the idea that you have to take from here. So look at the marking itself. Yeah, these underlined things must be there, right? It's an anchor link. When user clicks on the image icon, so from that the marker will understand, okay, this one knows what happens when an image put inside and in between anchor tags, right? And it should be like this. Whenever the user clicks on the image icon, elephants_tnl.jpg, and elephants.jpg is loaded in a different web page. Right, so if the browser cannot load the image elephants_tnl.jpg, it displays the alternate text to the other. Right, and the width and the height of the image elephants_tnl.jpg are 288 centimeters of width, 156 centimeters of height. Right, so these things, these underlined stuff should be there. So like for each and every underlined part, they are going to give you 0.5 marks. So altogether, you will be getting 3 marks for that. Just see whether you got everything correct. If you got any mistakes, it's better you write this down. This is the proper way of introducing a home page. No, darling, the border will not be applied because it says turns off border. In the in here it says style equals border colon none. So for that purpose, we have to say they have turned off the border. Got it, Dua? Right. Anyone who is copied from this part? Right. Okay, so it takes 3 marks. So if you have missed any point, so reduce 0.5 marks for each and every point that you have missed. And now we are going to the coding part. They were asking you to write the coding for the radio buttons part, right? For this. So when you are writing the code, remember the radio button comes first. That means input type thing should be first. Then once you close the input tag, then you should have this particular name as it is here. Right, then BR should be there. Then the input thing goes again and the leopard. Right, so likewise it should be there. So the marking shows you this input type equal radio should be in between double quotes. Name equal any particular name you can it can be given. Value equal any particular value can be given. But blue whale, this particular words must match. Right, so then the BR is used. So if everything is in a line in the first line, so it is called 2 marks. So here for these two, just given 1 mark. Right, so if you have done it correctly, then you will be given 2 marks and 1 marks, 3 marks together. Right. Okay, so when the table is drawn, what you have to figure out is this table does have a border. So you have to say the border is on, and the caption should be there while Sri Lanka, because there is a, they say it in the question, right? The company wants to add table showing the rates and given below with the caption Sri Lanka while Sri Lanka to the above HTML document, right? So yeah, so they're asking you to write the code segment, that's all. Right, so when you're writing the code segment, the things should comes like this: table border equal 1 must be there, since we can see the border, and the caption while Sri Lanka, as the question says. Then days and price will act as a th, and here they have said td is also acceptable here. So then other things are easy, just 2 lines. Right, so when it comes to the next line, the next tr should be taken. Then these things should be aligned and should be there with the order that is going on, right? Don't miss any particular spaces, any particular what do you call the element or the attributes, right? So have it alignedly, right? Okay, so if the table tag is there, they have given you, so the marking is given like this: 0.5 marks for each component, so 3 marks altogether. So see whether you have got all 3 marks. And see how much you got out of 15. Okay, Lamai. Right. Going to the third question. Who have done the third question? All right. So in the third question, they are asking about, you have been asked to design two physical separate networks, namely A and B, each having exactly 10 computers. The IP addresses of A and B networks are 10.32.50, 10.32.60. So that means here they have given you the network address, right? So first you have to understand that they have provided you the network address, right? That is what they mean by the IP addresses of A and B networks. So it says it is required that the computers in the two networks must be able to communicate with each other, right? So those are two physically separated networks, and this is one of the network address, and this is the other one's network address, right? So first one, it is asking you to suggest a suitable subnet mask for each of these networks, right? So so they have taken 255, 255, 255, and 240. And what is the basis of taking this? They were arguing with the 10 computers thing, right? So 10 compute, like based on 10 computers, they have to figure out how many host bits actually, how many host bits are there in the network or the IP address, right? So they say there are 10 computers. That means there is a equation that we learn, number of hosts equals 2 to the power host bits or host ID bits minus 2. That means 10 equals 2 to the power x minus 2, right? So that means 12 equals 2 to the power x. So we have to take this to a nearest largest 2 to the power. That means 16. So 2 to the power x equals 2 to the power 4. X equals 4. So x equals 4 means net ID bits is having 28 bits and host ID has 4 bits. So based on that, they have created this particular subnet mask. So 28 bits will be having ones, right? And only 4 zeros will be there. Right, so the first 8 bits will give you a 255. Another 8 bits will give you another 255. The last 8 bits will give you another 255, and there are 4 ones and 4 zeros. Right, so this is the one which gives you 240. Right, these things will give you 255. Right, so that is how this is being determined. So determining part is not considered over here, but the answer will give you 2 marks. Right, so then it is asking, name the device required to connect these two physical networks to communicate with each other. So it's router or bridge or gateway or layer 3 switch. Like, since according to the like our syllabus, it's better you go with router, layer 3 switch, or you can generally say gateway device. Right, so likewise it can be said. So 1 mark, here you got 2 marks. නෑ අපේ බාගෙට උල්ප එක අම්මලට දුන්නා. අපි ගාව තිබ්බ සීල් කරලා තිබ්බ නැති එකක් මෙතනට ගැහුවා. සීල් කරලා තිබ්බ එක සීල් කරලා නැතිව තිබ්බ එක තමයි අපි ගැහුවේ. පොඩි එක දුන්නා. ඔව් දෙන්න කිව්වා. Right, so then after the third one, it is talking about drawing the network diagram. Draw network diagram for above network and assign suitable IP addresses for the device in these two networks. Right, so here they have given bridge is not a very suitable one over here, people. It's just router will be a good one, or the L3 switch, right, which should be connected with the switches. Switches should have the devices. So since it is 10 devices, it's better you say PC1, PC2 and PC10. Yeah, Tinura, it is recording, Tinura. Since it is done, I will be uploaded it to the website so you can see. Don't worry. Right, so this is PC1, PC2 and PC10. Right, so it should be completed like this. Then you have to assign the IP addresses. So to assign the IP addresses, you have to do the calculation. Right, so for the drawing, they have given you 2 marks. Right, so then you have to figure out what are the IP addresses that you can use. So to figure out what are the IP addresses that you can use, first you have to figure out what is the range that you can use, right? So the network address that they have given, give me a second. Right. So, and the next best thing, so 10.32.5n. So the network address that we have is 10.32.50. This is the network address, right? And since this is the network address, and in the earlier part, we figure out what is the nature of the IP address. So net ID, it is having 28 bits, and for host, it is having 4 bits, right? So that means if the network address is this, then the broadcast is going to be 10.32.5. So these 4 zeros will be as it is. Then from after that, there will be ones, right? So that means 10.32.5, 15 is going to be the broadcast. That means range is going to come like how? 10.32.5.1 to 10.32.5.14, right? So out of these 14 address, you are going to assign the things to the devices, right? Because the same kind of calculation is going to happen to the other network as well, which is the 10.32.601. So you can mention that, right? And again, they haven't asked you to show the calculations over here, so you can do this as a rough work. Then you can suggest these things. Then you can say, right, the places that you are going to assign the IP address, like for router, these ends should have IP addresses from the networks in both sides, and the devices should have the IP addresses, right? So you have to say what is the IP address for this edge of the router. It is come from this particular range, right? And what is the IP address for this edge, right? That is what they have suggested over here. gateway address of network 1 10.32.5x where x is 1 to 14 එකේ ඉඳලා 14 වෙනකන් එක්කෙනකින් එකක් තමයි මෙතනට එන්නේ and the ඒ කියන්නේ මේ edge එක කියලා අපි හිතුවොත් කියන්නේ මෙන්න මෙතන right and this edge is going to get 10.32.6y y is going to be something from 1 to 14 right so when those addresses are given to these edges that those two addresses cannot be used to assign these particular devices they should have something other than those IP addresses right so one of the easiest way that you can do is you can say as an example you can say after this calculation is done for 10 devices you are proposing 10.32.5.1 to 10.32.5.10 එතකොට 10ක් හරි right and the gateway you can say 10.32.5.11 right මෙතන 1 to 10 වෙනකන් ගියානේ මෙතනට 11 කියලා දාලා ඉවර කරනවා ඒ විදිහට මේ එහා පැත්තට ප්‍රොපෝස් කරන්න පුළුවන් 10.32.6.1 to 10.32.6.10 and gateway is going to be 10.32.6.11 simple as that people is that clear මල්ලි අතන charger right okay so that is how we are going to go Yes, people. My විනාඩියක් ඉන්න මේ පෙන් එක වැඩ කරන්නේ නැතුව ගියා ළමයි. හරි ළමයි අපි මේකෙන් පුළුවන් ප්‍රමාණයට අපි වැඩේ කරමු. පෙන් එක රෙස්පොන්ඩ් කරන්න නැතුව ගියා. Right. In part B, what they are asking is like compare TCP and UDP protocols in terms of reliability. Right. So yeah, in terms of reliability that they're asking. So TCP and UDP. TCP is a reliable one. Oh, it is highly reliable. UDP is unreliable. Right. So you have to say, since they are asking in terms of reliability, TCP is a reliable protocol and UDP is an unreliable protocol. Just like that, right? So 2 marks for that. And in the second part, they're asking of peer-to-peer and client server. Now, client server model is there, but not the peer-to-peer, but it's better just get to know about that. Peer-to-peer is a when it comes to the peer-to-peer architecture, every computer and or like every host or like every device inside the network can act as both as a server as well as a client, right? Client කෙනෙක් විදියට වැඩ කරන්නත් පුළුවන්, server කෙනෙක් විදියට වැඩ කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. But when it comes to the client server network, client is the what you call the when it comes to the client server network, there is a particular client. There can be many clients, but one server. Server is always the server. Client is always the client, right? You won't be able to change the client into the server and server into the client. But in the peer-to-peer, everyone work as a server and the client if they want, right? So client will provide the things, right? So client will receive the service and server will provide the service always in the client server. In peer-to-peer one, when someone is providing a service, it is considered as a server. When someone is receiving the service, it is considered as a client, right? So that is the difference between those things, right? So here it says peer-to-peer and client-server model are distributed application architecture. Discuss the difference between, yeah. Even though you are not discuss this, you can have the 2 marks because it is not available in your syllabus now, right? So in the third part, yeah, now this actually you can write the difference between the switch and the hub. So they are just asking you to list the difference between switch and hubs in a network. So you can easily say a lot of things, right? So like hub is generating a traffic, switch is not generating a traffic. Hub is an dumb device, switch is an intelligent device, or else you can say a hub will the one they have given in the answer. When a packet arrives at one port, it is copied to all other ports. That comes to the hub. When it comes to the switch, when a switch arrives a packet, it sends the packet only to the particular destination port. That is why we call the switch is intelligent, but the hub is not. As well as you can say hub is a layer 1 device, it's a physical layer device, and switch is a layer 2 as well as layer 3 device, right? So that means data link and network layers, right? And hub has low performance, switch has high performance, and you can say a hub is half duplex communication. Hub has half duplex communication, switch has full duplex communication, right? So likewise you can argue, right? So what they have done is like one for each. So they just asking just one fact of these differences. So then you can take all 2 marks, right? So see how much you have got and see how much you had out of 15. Okay. And moving to the 4th question. Anyone who has done the 4th question? Okay. So in the 4th that they're asking, identify and describe the phases of waterfall model in software development. Now here they have given a very brief answer, right? Software model has more than this, right? So the description is also given down. So like what you call the waterfall model has the system identifying the requirements and the analysis. It's going to be a second phase, right? And the designing, then the development. Here they have considered as an implementation and testing, and then deployment is missing over here. Then the maintenance, right? So it's better you go with the diagram that we discuss, right? Let me take the diagram. Yeah, you better go with these things: system definition, system analysis, system designing, development, testing, implementation, and maintenance. Right. So and it's better you briefly discuss, right, uh, what's going on with these spaces. Like, it doesn't matter whether it is the waterfall or the spiral or whatever the thing that we are talking about. So it's the general thing that we have to discuss, right? So here, like, you can say in the finding the requirements, so it will be done, the preliminary findings will be done there. So the basic requirements or the basic need of the client will be find out from that particular page. And the analysis, with the details that is being taken from the preliminary investigation, the system will be analyzed and see how the outcome need to be provided. And due to the analysis, the system designing will be done, and the needed designing tools will be used. So the data flow diagrams, logical data structures will be drawn. And in the implementation of the coding phase, you can say according to the design that is being done, the coding will be done using a suitable programming language. Right. Then after, the testing phase is happening, and test for the test cases that is being designed at the system designing phase, and test for any particular errors, and those errors will be corrected. And here the deployment part is missing. So the deployment part, you can say the deployment of the system will be happen, and a suitable deployment method out of direct, parallel, phase, and pilot will be chosen, and then deployed as instructed. Then once the system is running, the maintenance will be done according to the requirements, or according to the needed environment that is going on. Right. So likewise, you can simply describe it. Right. So the marks have given here like 0.5 for each item identification. So 2.5 marks are given, and again 0.5 for each item description. Then again 2.5 are given, like 5 marks are given for the part A. Right. If you have any doubts regarding what you have written, just send me the WhatsApp image, people, so I can go through and see how the things are going to happen. Okay, then yeah, part B is asking, describe the functional and the non-functional requirements of a system. Identify 2 functional and 3 non-functional requirements of a mobile phone. So yes, so you have to say like functional requirements. You can simply explain the services expected by the user are known as functional requirements, or the services provided by the system are considered as a functional requirement. And non-functional requirements, it describes the system constraints or the system limitations regarding the non-functional requirements. So when it comes to the mobile phone, the functional requirements, you can give it like this: make a call, receive a call, send an SMS, receive an SMS, right? And when you are now, even though they have given it like this, it's better you use IEEE standards when you are writing this, right? Or like, it's like this, like, user shall be able to make a call, right? So it is the way that you are going to write this, right? We have discussed it when the system lesson is done, right? Somewhere over here. Right. Hold on. Yeah, likewise, like this. Right. Shall be able to prepare character certificate, likewise. So shall be able to make a call, shall be able to receive a call, shall be able to send an SMS, shall be able to receive an SMS, likewise. right? And when it comes to the non-functional requirement, they have said size, price, better lifetime, memory capacity, appearance, kind of things. And again, use the IEEE standards when you are writing this, right? The mobile phone shall be able to stay in a size where a user can use easily, right? The price of the mobile phone should be able to uh, affordable for a particular user, right? Battery lifetime shall be able to like it's better you say in the in terms of time. Battery shall be able to last 12 hours, or like battery shall be able to last 24 hours, right? Likewise, right? Memory capacity, the memory capacity shall be able to extend up to 4 GB, likewise, right? So you have to, it's better you go with the IEEE standards, right? So they have given 1.5 for the 3 functional requirements and 1 mark for the 2 non-functional requirements, right? So 0.5 for each part. Okay. Is it clear up to this part, people? Okay. So then they are asking about the testing, right? Yeah, describe the purpose of unit, integrate and acceptance testing. Who are the people responsible for each testing process? So they have said unit testing, the purpose is to test the individual source programs for logical errors. So that kind of an idea should be there, right? When it comes to the people, it should be the programmer or the software engineer who developed the source code or the program, right? Those kind of people should be there, right? And integrated testing, the purpose is unit tested source code are combined as a group and test for errors due to the integration, right? That idea should be there, right? And the people who are involved in this are the software engineers, senior software engineers, team leads, those kind of people, project managers. And acceptance testing, the purpose is to test the requirement of a specification or contract are met, which is done by the client, right? So the people, definitely the client should be there. The software development team, or like senior software engineers kind of people should be there. So like for describing the purpose, they have given you 1.5 marks. Excuse me. And for mentioning the people which are involved in this, they have given another 1.5 marks, right? So like 0.5 for each part. That means 1 mark for each category. So altogether you will be getting 3 marks. And in part D, yeah, they're asking how to do a black box testing to check whether the new mobile phone is working. So excuse me, hold on a second, people. Right. So the black box testing, you have to say like how the things are going to happen with the black box testing, right? So black box testing means like you are providing the particular inputs and search for the expected outputs. So you know what's happened when these inputs are given. So you know what should be the output. So you test whether those inputs are given, that particular outputs are given by the device. That is how we are going to do the black box testing, right? So that is why they are like telling about these particular features: decide the functionality, decide the expected output, conduct the test, compare the actual behavior with the expected one. So when you are like molding this into an answer, you have to say like first you have to say what's the functionality that you are going to decide, or that you are going to test, right? So you have to say they are asking about one particular thing only. Let me see the question. Suppose you are planning to buy a new mobile phone and would like to test its functionality. Yes. So what some particular functionality you have to say, like as an example, send in a message, right? So, or making a phone call. So you have to say the functionality that you are going to test is whether the phone is able to connect with another phone, or like whether the phone is able to make a phone call, right? So how the the input is going to be the particular number which you need to get connected, and the output is going to be, once the number is dialed, that particular the other phone should be ring or should be connected, right? So then how we are going to carry out the test is like you are dialing the number and pressing the call button and check whether it is connecting with the correct mobile phone that you were planning to connect with. So if it is being connected, then the black box testing is passed. If it is not connected, then the black box testing is failed, right? So likewise, you have to explain how the functionality is going to be tested, right? Is it clear, people, how the things are going to happen? Right. Okay, Mihin. Right, no worries. Yeah, yes. Most of you have gone due to the power cuts. Yeah. So, yeah, people, shall we do it like this? There are 2 more to go, 5, 6, and 7. 3 more to go. ළමයි අපි කට්ටිය අඩු වෙච්ච එකේ හැමෝම ඉන්න වෙලාවක ඩිස්කස් කරමුද ළමයි? It's only Lalindi and Minuka is here. Shall we do it like that, Pudala? Otherwise it won't be a one. Right. Okay, people. Never mind. So you can disconnect. We'll continue from the 5th question onwards when we meet on next time. Right. Okay, people. So thank you very much. Let's disconnect for the moment. All right. Good night, everyone. Good night, Arindi. Good night.